Oh yeah, woo! I wasn't even in the turbos before, wow! Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be filming the all-new Subaru Ascent Onyx Edition. Before we get in this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Nate Wade Subaru here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this Ascent. I'm gonna include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And if you don't know, the Nate Wade Subaru here in Salt Lake does not charge any sort of markups over MSRP ever. So if you want a great deal on a new Subaru, reach out to them. And then on a side note, if you wanna save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So under the hood, we have a turbocharged 2.4 liter flat 4-cylinder that goes through a CVT automatic. Subaru calls it an 8-speed linear-tronic CVT. Fuel economy, 19 around town, 25 on the highway, with power outputs being 260 horsepower and then 277 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, you guys can see that it's kind of raised there in the center and then it kind of falls off on either side. We've got these really cool daytime running lights there, and look how bright the headlights are. And then notice the black trim here that goes to the fog light. You can see that the grille is all blacked out with a camera below the Subaru logo. And yeah, that's interesting. That's actually the same thing that you have on like the new Honda CR-V, so I guess that it's just something that's on SUVs nowadays. But putting it all together with the Onyx Edition, the Ascent looks so cool. Coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 245/50/20 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see how the wheels are all blacked out. Again, part of the Onyx package. We've got these pretty low profile fender flares is what I'll call them, but then the bodywork here on the side sticks out quite a bit. And then notice the mirror cap all blacked out, window trim blacked out, and then you guys can see the roof rail crossbar set up there at the top. And then putting it all together with the blacked out elements and everything, this looks really good. So here's our key fob for the Ascent. We have our lock function, our unlock function, and then the opening for the hatch. Now popping into the back of the Ascent, first off, we got these Onyx Edition floor mats. That is so cool. And then you guys can see you got a little charging port right there. And then this one actually comes with the Harman Kardon sound system. Now with the third row folded down, you have quite a bit of space here in the back. Now to get the third row up, it's pretty easy. You just have to pull this strap right here, and then that will pull the third row up, but it'll also pull this box up apparently, so there we go. We got it. But now with the third row folded up, you guys can see there's still quite a bit of storage space behind the third row. And then when you're all done with the rear, just press that button right there, and then that will lower the hatch right back down. Now taking a look at the taillights here in the rear, you guys can see they haven't changed all that much since the prior version of the Ascent, but a little bit different. And then you guys can see the black bar that connects everything, got the Subaru logo here. And then we actually have our custom like Onyx Edition badge, which is really cool. And then you've got your Subaru badge all blacked out, and then exhaust tips here on either side at the bottom with parking sensors. Putting it all together, I do like the look of the new Ascent, and I think that this Onyx Edition definitely just makes it look a little bit cooler. Now with the door panel on the rear, first off, you'll notice that we have sunshades here for the rear passengers, and then we've got this interesting like two-tone interior. Look at the neon stitching. That is bright and in your face. And then again, speaker for the Harman Kardon sound system. And don't you worry, that two-tone design continues on the seats, and so does that neon stitching as well. That is pretty out there. And then I like how the seat adjustments are very nicely labeled. Now legroom here in the back of the Ascent's really good. You guys can see we've got a little storage pocket here. We also have some climate controls here for the rear, so we have our own climate zone. Heated seats, we've got a bunch of USB ports, and we got some cup holder action. Now the third row is a little bit more on the cramped side of things, so I'd probably reserve it for kids, which is pretty typical for a crossover like this. And then you guys can see we've got some cup holder action here in the back. We actually have a little speaker here for the sound system. And if you're wondering, headroom's good back here. Taking a look at the door panel here at the front of the Ascent, you guys can see again with that two-tone design, and look at the stitching. That is just crazy. We do have our memory seat functionality, blind spot monitoring with the mirrors, and plenty of storage space in the door. Also notice front two windows are automatic. And then look at the two-tone design here on the seat with the front, and again that neon stitching absolutely pops. And then we do have our adjustments on the side of the seat. And then this is just to open up the hatch, and look at that. We got more neon stitching, and I guess a little storage area. Taking a look at the steering wheel, you guys can see really nice padding all around, and then we got neon stitching inside. It's everywhere. Heated steering wheel button on the steering wheel, which is actually really cool. You've got your steering assist. This also has adaptive cruise control. You've got some controls for center stack, voice command, phone controls, you know, the normal stuff. Paddle shifters here on the back, so as you can see, for that CVT. Turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock. Now with the center gauge cluster, you guys can see there's a screen here in the center which I can use to scroll through different bits of info on the vehicle. Pretty standard stuff, but I think simplistic gauge cluster, but it looks good. Now in reverse, we have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. We also have that bird's eye view as well, which definitely helps. This isn't like a huge crossover, but it's, you know, larger in size, and so having the different camera viewpoints I think is a big plus. Oh, look at this! I can press the camera button and it also gives us a little view here. Very Toyota-esque. But anyways, going over the rest of the infotainment system, I can just press the home button and that'll take us out. First off, it's very large. You've got analog controls here on either side for like the radio, your climate controls as well. Has dual zone climate here for the front. Heated seats for the front. On top of that, everything just makes sense. Like it's all where it needs to be. Now, response time is better than what this video is suggesting because there's still the plastic covering on it. But you guys can see in the second screen we have the cabin connect, so that's like a microphone system that hopefully you can hear on camera. That's weird hearing my own voice. I film YouTube videos, still so weird. Anyways, we also have some drive modes. You've got your snow, dirt, normal, and then you've got your deep snow and mud mode as well. And so yeah, great infotainment screen. We've got a 12 volts down below there, and then we got some USB action, and then there's your camera view button. So here is the shifter for the Lineartronic CVT. Got a parking brake behind that, a couple cup holders, and then look at the stitching on the center console here. And plenty of storage space inside, let me tell you. Now I've got storage here above the glove box, and then look at like the padding all throughout, again with that neon stitching. It kind of all connects. And speaking of glove box, it's big. Now up top here we've got our controls for the sunroof. This does have a full panoramic sunroof. So because it's raining, there's quite a bit of glare here on the window sticker, but anyways, 2023 Ascent Onyx Edition, 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty, 5-year 60,000 mile on the powertrain. Base MSRP is $46,295. Now this has a few options added to it, like the crossbars, for example, and then I guess there's an LED upgrade for the map and dome lights as well, and sunshade for the third row, which I forgot to show you. But anyways, after all options, this one's stickers for, and we'll close the door, $48,989. Yes, very specific. Let's see how it drives. It'd help if I actually press the button. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off in the Ascent. Here's your visibility over the hood. Both of the mirrors, which do have blind spot monitoring. And throughout the rest of the rear. And let's ascent the mountain with the Ascent. That didn't make sense grammatically, but we're going to pretend like it did because I'm trying to play with Subaru's names today in the videos. But I already have reviewed the new Ascent. It was a limited, I believe. I review so many cars, it's hard to keep track, but I'm pretty sure it was limited. However, I wanted to review another new Ascent because I wanted to get some better driving in. The first time I drove one with the new Ascent, it just wasn't in the best conditions because of traffic and everything, whereas, you know, I'll be able to get a little bit more driving in with this today. And then the other big thing is I just think the Onyx Edition is so cool. This and then the Wilderness Edition that Subaru does, I think they're just really cool packages because it looks great, and that's all you really need. And I'm also driving this back to back with an Outback, so I will make some comparisons with the Outback, and that Outback had the naturally aspirated 2.5 flat 4-cylinder, so I'll also make some comparisons between the turbo engine and the 4-cylinder non-turbo. What I can tell you with the turbo engine here, my eyes are on the road. So because I have a GoPro on my head, Subaru's eyesight system can't differentiate the GoPro from my, so don't wear a GoPro while you drive a Subaru. I learned that the first time I drove an Ascent. It freaks out the system. But regardless, what you feel is this has so much torque. Like the Outback, you know, at low speed you only have to get into it too much, but this, like, you really don't have to get into it. It's like a whole nother level of torque and everything, which I think is great. Really smooth, just like the Outback. This thing that's so impressive about modern Subarus is that they're very comfortable. Like, they pretty much almost have like a, I would say like luxury car ride quality, which makes sense because Subaru is kind of tuning these for off-road use at this point. That's what all their advertising is going towards. And so, you know, they're going to want to make it so the suspension's nice and compliant. So while you're going over, you know, bumpy roads and everything, you're not getting destroyed, right? So that's a big plus. Oh yeah, this is so torquey. I was just barely in it. There's a big difference. So yeah, it'll be interesting to test out the turbo Outback, but I mean, this being a bigger vehicle feels like just so much more powerful. It's crazy. It really is crazy, the difference with them. But I like how this drives. Even though it's a larger third row crossover, it doesn't drive too big. It's actually, it drives relatively, I wouldn't say it drives super small, but it drives relatively small. Oh yeah, woo! I wasn't even in the turbos before, wow! Yeah, this thing rockets. Let's see how the Lineartronic CVT performs with the paddles. So it seems like after 3,000 RPMs, it really starts to pick up quite a bit. But the paddles are actually pretty responsive. I'm super impressed with Subaru's new Lineartronic CVT. And the ride quality on this is great. Yeah, Subaru's killing it with these new vehicles. So let's sum things up here with the new Ascent. First off, I think it looks so much better than the previous version. Like, I feel like that kind of goes without saying, but I gotta say it. And then when it comes to how this drives, it's very comfortable. It's pretty easy to drive. It's not like a huge crossover, so it still drives pretty small. I've seen like 3 cops on this test drive. This is crazy. Why are these cops coming out? And there's another one. Oh no, never mind. I thought that was another one. Never mind. I can't see. But yeah, this thing moves. Like, just the turbo just boom gets up. So yeah, I really like the Ascent. What I will say is, I think that, man, the Outback, I might have to recommend the turbo over the naturally aspirated after driving this thing, because this engine's so good. Yeah, and I think this probably is the Ascent sweet spot because you get all the luxury features you need. It's still reasonably priced for the segment that it competes in, and it looks so cool. Like, this looks so much cooler than a regular Ascent. But let me know what you guys think. That is going to sum things up with our video on this Ascent Onyx Edition. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Nate Wade Subaru here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this Ascent. Check out their inventory in the description down below. I'll see you.